It is time to spend a little time inside of your home, try to make it more comfortable and a healthier environment. Jackie, that's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. So very excited to have Brad Argo joining us with Midwest Basement Systems. And we've experienced something here recently, Brad, when we've been outside, but it can also affect what's happening inside our home.
Exactly. Came back from a little vacation last Saturday, and I couldn't believe the humidity that I was experiencing outside.
Did it hit you in the face when you got here?
I just couldn't believe it. I was outside for 10 minutes and I was just like dripping with sweat. So it's one of those things we like to think about as far as what's happening in the environment in our basement when it's like that outside. So one of the things we talk about is like relative humidity, because mold doesn't need necessarily just standing water in your basement. So a lot of contractors may show up and be like, okay, you have water in your basement, let's get that fixed. But we want to take that a step further at Midwest Basement Systems. What has happened inside of your basement when we have really high humidity? So one of the things we see right now, the higher that humidity gets, mold can grow. So it doesn't need just standing water per se to have mold growth.
Just humidity in the air.
Just humidity in the air, exactly.
And what kind of percentages are we talking that are dangerous?
Yeah, so anything about 75% relative humidity is going to have water, like the dew point, is going to start to collect on surfaces.
So is
in
this
your
the
basement.
point where in case it's really humid outside or wherever the case is and you go to a cooler basement, the floors might be slick?
Right. So one of the things, like this is my little science experiment for the day, but like, so relative humidity is...
If we can come out and look at Brad real quick, we're going to show, you have an example of what you're talking about, because we'll hear a meteorologist say...
Oh yeah, they could geek out on this
relative
stuff.
humidity and things like that, but you're going to show exactly what that means as far as water.
Yeah, so we have like pretty much like if it's 80 degrees outside and it's 75% relative humidity, which actually isn't a bad day compared to last weekend. So that's the amount of water that it can hold. So this is about, we'll say, temperature's 80.
Okay.
And this is our way to think of it is like, this is our container, 80-degree container. So that's how much water it can hold. And we're about 75%, maybe a little bit less because I got thirsty right before our segment. But as we go in to a cooler environment, every degree that we lower it, it is going to increase the relative humidity by 2.2%. So if it's 80 degrees outside, it can hold that much water.
Right.
Then when we start to go down to the basement, 2.2% for every degree.
Oh my goodness.
So then, if you think about it, if it's 75% relative humidity and it's now, let's say, 65 degrees in your basement,
that's what I'm thinking, 65, yeah.
It's over 100% relative humidity. So it's not going to rain in your house, but that humidity is going to collect on all the surfaces in your house.
Water will start to form.
You're going to get just enough.
Exactly. And that's going to get onto your wall surfaces, your HVAC surfaces, and it will start to grow. Now, what do we build our homes out of? Organic material, right? So when a tree dies or a limb falls in the woods, right, nature has something to do there. That tree hits the ground, it gets damp, it's around some leaves, bugs, bacteria, and mold start to break that down and turn it back into dirt. So when we have that same material building our homes, that's what can occur. So what's the best way to prevent this is an air cleaning system. So a commercial grade dehumidifier. So if you go to Home Depot and you pick up a 40-pint dehumidifier. Now those are really nice if they're maybe upstairs, but in your basement they're rated to 80 degrees. So they don't really necessarily can handle the amount of water that is in the air in your basement. Just looking at the charts, it really drops off their performance when you get to like a 65 degree.
I was going to say 70 or under 70 degrees, especially down to 65, which is where a lot of basements stay.
Precisely. And it's hard because you need to have some resident time from that air to go across those coils in your dehumidifier. The longer it's there, the more moisture it can pull from the air. But those, sometimes you put your hands on one side and the other side, you don't know which side it's pulling from or which side it's pushing out of. Now we have a large condenser in there, we have a large coil and a large blower. So when that water and the air goes through the dehumidifier, a lot of water is caught, so we get about 100 or so pints at a 65 degree high
It
humidity.
really moves a lot of volume
Yeah.
when it comes to air and gets the air from a saturated point to an unsaturated point.
Exactly. Then the nice thing is, then that dry air is circulating throughout your basement and getting into the joists and getting into that drywall, that paper, and mixing with that humidity air, that wetter air, and continuing to recycle throughout the entire day, making sure that all your surfaces stay dry. Because like I said, we don't want to just deal with the standing water. We want to get that out of your way so you can get to your washer and dryer. You don't have to worry about putting your valuables, higher than ground. But you also want to just make sure that you're not allowing your basement to grow mold. If you smell musty,
I was going to say the musty smell that a lot of people experience when they walk downstairs.
that's mold.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
now, can this system remove that musty smell, or do you have to go in and clean it?
Yeah, well, if you have some mold growth, we'd want to make sure we took a look at that. But most of the time, it can be remedied by just a nice, large commercial scale dehumidifier like we sell. We sell April Airs, and they just work fantastically in crawl spaces and in basements, and just allow your basement to stay dry, because mold, if it's not wet, if it's not damp, there's no job for mold to do.
Right.
Now,
Nothing
needs to be
what
broken
about
down.
what about the electricity requirements of a unit like yours as compared to what you might get at a box store?
Same thing. It's a 110. It pulls about 50 or so amps. It's a really low draw considering the amount of work that it does. So no need to do anything too special. You can just plug it in right into your normal outlet and just let it work.
No special wiring required.
Nope.
That's nice.
Let's talk about what could happen if we're not doing something like this. Like, if I don't have standing water in my basement, I'm good to go. What's going to happen if I start smelling that smell and not taking care of that situation?
This is the time of year where you're gonna, and I like to keep things topical here, and that was just one of the things that came to mind this week was that, boy, with all this humidity, it's getting to your basement. Those air vapors can get into your basement. So if you're smelling that musty smell, it'd be a good time to give us a shout, have us come out just to make sure there's nothing else maybe going on in your basement, but also just be able to recommend something to keep that environment dry and healthy for everyone to breathe in the house.
Love that. Love that idea, because it's not just about, as you said, if there's standing water in the basement, you're just looking at the overall health of not only your family, but your basement.
Precisely. A lot of the air you're breathing is coming from the bottom of your house all the way up.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure that everyone's staying healthy, and if anybody has breathing problems, it's even more of a reason to check that out.
And by removing the humidity in the basement too, if you do have a finished basement, for example, it's going to feel more comfortable.
Yes.
When you're down there too, you're not going to feel sticky if you go down there, because that has happened in the past.
Precisely. Yep.
So this is the time of year to take advantage of it.
I was going to say, we've all been hit in the face with this humidity.
Nice.
Now's the time to think about it.
Yeah.
Your overall health of your home. Midwest Basement Systems are the people to talk to, not just if you have standing water, but just what's happening in my living space right now and make it the best it can possibly be.
That's right.
Love it. Okay, so how do we contact you guys to come over and check things out?
289-1606 as the jingle goes, or MidwestBasementSystems.com.
All right, now
Love it.
one final question: when it comes to installing one of these dehumidifiers in your basements, how long does it take to put one in?
Well, it's pretty simple to put that one in, so we can pretty much do it that day. But we always want to make sure that we get a chance to look at the house and just make sure there's nothing else going on.
Absolutely.
You're not going to set it and forget it. You're going to go in, make sure everything's right, then you can install it.
That's right.
Yeah. You do a great job, you guys.
Great to see
you.
you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
the explanation today. That makes a lot of
No
sense.
problem.
It is